Hello and welcome back to my channel. Firstly, I wanted to apologise because I am full of cold, so I sound awful. I really sound much worse than I am, but obviously don't sound like the picture of health, but what can you do? I didn't want to delay making this video because I get asked this question so often that I really think it's something that's worth talking about. And that is, what is the truth about how long it takes to start seeing results when you've started improving your diet or taking on an exercise program? Because so many of us have unrealistic expectations when it comes to this. And I think a lot of that is to do with, we are constantly bombarded with drop a dress size in 2 weeks or lose 20 pounds in 20 days or whatever it might be. These headlines are everywhere. And the thing is much as I've covered in other videos, if these things really worked, then they wouldn't constantly being pushed at us over and over again because nobody would need them, because we would have all found the answer. But they don't work. And to try and set those expectations on yourself when starting out is really unrealistic. And I totally understand. Of course, we all want to see results quickly because that's what helps us to stay motivated. And that's human nature, and I'm just the same. But equally, we have to go into these things with realistic expectations, because otherwise it just leads to constant disappointment, and that's often the reason why people quit on their, new regime or new gym plan or whatever it might be. The truth of it is, and you might not like this, it's going to take a couple of months before you start seeing any significant physical changes. Now, that doesn't mean that you won't lose weight straight away, because if you change your diet or you start an exercise program, you're quite likely to lose water quite quickly. So you may well see a significant drop in your figures on the scales. But in terms of an actual lasting result or physical change, inches lost, which is why that's often a much better thing to gauge, you need to be aware of the fact that it's going to be a couple of months. Of course, you will start to feel benefits much sooner than that. So if you've taken on a new exercise program, after the first couple of weeks, you're definitely going to feel increased in terms of energy, you're likely to sleep better, your mood is going to improve, you probably stand a bit taller and pull your stomach in a bit tighter. So in terms of how you feel, that change can happen, fairly early on. But in terms of other people starting to notice, it's going to be a couple of months down the line, and that's why you've got to stick with it, because these things don't happen overnight. You don't get these results without putting in a bit of effort and a bit of time, I'm afraid. And obviously various factors come into how quickly you will see those results, and whether it will be a couple of months or whether it will be longer than that. And those things are, they're to do with, are you drinking enough water? Are you eating the right things? Are you eating enough? Are you doing an effective exercise program? Are you getting enough sleep? Where were you when you started your exercise program? If you were a complete beginner, it's much more likely that you'll see results quite quickly because you haven't done any exercise before, or you haven't changed your eating before. So it might be that you see a change much faster than somebody who's a bit further along on their health and fitness journey. The other thing that will obviously have a massive effect on your results is how consistent you are. If you do a little bit one week and nothing the next, and a little bit another week and nothing the next, then those results are going to come along much slower than if you consistently do your workouts, make good food choices, drink lots of water, all those things that we know are what get you the results. But you need to be consistent. And the more consistent you are with those things, the faster you'll see results. The other thing is, when you start a new exercise program, it's very tempting to think that counteracts any bad food choices. And it is important to remember, but ultimately, as the old saying goes, you can't outrun a bad diet. You need to be doing the two things in conjunction with one another. And I'm not saying you need to be a saint, because if you've watched any of my videos in the past, you'll know that I'm definitely not all about being saintly. It is all about balance. It's finding what's right for you and what works for you. But you can't seriously expect that if you're spending an hour in the gym or doing a HIIT workout every day, but you stuff down a burger every evening, that you're actually going to see results. So I guess the thing to take away from this is, firstly, if you've embarked on a new exercise plan or a healthy eating program, then really well done. You should really congratulate yourself, because that's the first step, that's the biggest thing. But the thing to remember is all of these things take time, they take consistency, and they take a little bit of effort, and that's where you'll get the best results, and that's where you'll get the lasting results. So the number one thing that I would say to you is, with all of that in mind, don't suddenly get disheartened and stop what you're doing, because whilst it might take a little bit longer for you to get the results than you perhaps initially thought, stopping what you're doing is certainly not going to get you those results any faster. So stick with what you're doing, be consistent, keep going, just allow yourself a couple of months before you expect to start seeing real changes, and you will see those changes and they will be worth the effort, I promise. So thank you so much for watching. I hope that that was useful. Please do leave me any questions that you might have down below and I will answer them for you. And don't forget to hit subscribe, and I'll see you for the next one.